Imagine you're in an airplane, you've just taken off, you're passing through 2,000 feet, and bam, you hear an explosion, and the plane stops climbing. What will the pilot do? It's really too late to come up with a plan because things are happening very fast. That actually happened to me. My hobby is flying a small plane, and when I heard that bam, it triggered a pre-thought out plan that I had in my mind that I followed, and I got back to the airport and safely landed. It was a non-event. The moral of the story is, in any major event in your life, it's better if you have a pre-thought out plan of action of what you will do in that situation. And one of the biggest events in your life is when you move from the first half of your life to the second half of your life. That is a huge transition. So let's talk a little bit about the first half versus the second half. The first half of your life is what I call a period of learning and earning. You know, you start off and you get an education, and then you start a career, you may buy a house, you may have a family. It's a very busy period. And what you're kind of judged on during the first half, there are things like how much money you make, what kind of titles you have, what kind of possessions you have. It's a very competitive kind of period. The second half of your life should be totally different. The second half is a period where you should be able to do the things you really want to do. It's a great period of life, but you need a plan on how to deal with that. Without a plan, the second half of your life could become pointless and kind of boring. I have a friend, Pete, that I'd like to tell you about because I think he's a great example. Pete had a successful corporate career. He spent his whole career climbing up the corporate ladder, and when he retired at age 65, he was a vice president of human resources, responsible for the employment of thousands of people in this large company. But as he was climbing up the ladder, he had a hobby, and his hobby was flying small planes, which is how I met him because we shared the same hobby. Pete's dream was when he retired, he wanted to start a flying school because he felt he would then be able to bring the joys of aviation to young people. And in fact, he did that. He went down after he retired, very shortly after that, and he bought some used Cessna airplanes. He went down to the Embry-Riddle University, Aeronautical University in Florida, and he hired some fresh graduates. They became his flight instructors, and voila, he owned a flying school. You know what? Every day I saw Pete after that, he was a happy camper. He got up in the morning, he couldn't wait to get to his flying school, and it was just kind of the joy of his life. You know, entering the second half of your life is probably the biggest transition you will ever make. And most people do not have a plan on how they're going to deal with that transition. My friend Pete's a great example, though, because he took his passion and he turned it into the mission, his post-retirement mission. So what is your passion? Could your passion be the key to making the second half the prime of your life?